Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Blake? What? Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Aaron.
Aaron is right here, everyone. Welcome back for more SPTV, where every day is a great day not to be in a cult. All right, guys, we're talking South Park. We're talking Scientology. We're talking Isaac Hayes. We're talking about some drama. Oh, my goodness. Okay, let's get right into it. Okay, Isaac Hayes' son, Isaac Hayes III, recently came out again talking about how his father did not quit South Park. His father is famously the voice of Chef on South Park. He said, my father did not quit that show. Scientology quit for him. And he is telling a story newly. Now, he told this story before as well. I'm not actually quite sure why the story is coming out again right now. But he told the story newly about everything that happened from his perspective at that time. The reason I'm doing this video is because Tony Ortega then wrote an article trying to call BS on Isaac Hayes' son and used one of Mike Rinder's reports from Mike Rinder's OSA files, used that report as somehow evidence against Isaac Hayes' son that he's wrong. His father really was upset about the episode, and his father really did want to quit, and you should take Mike Rinder's word for it. I'm going to share with you what Tony Ortega is missing and how Isaac Hayes' son is the one who is correct. Isaac Hayes never would have quit that show, never wanted to quit that show. Isaac Hayes' good friend and fellow Scientologist, Alfredi Johnson, was actually trying to play middleman with David Miscavige and Scientology and trying to get them to stop trying to force Isaac Hayes to quit the show. And I'm going to share this information with you. So let's start by looking at the post that Isaac Hayes III, I'm going to share it with you from Twitter, but you guys have sent me links to this post absolutely everywhere. It seems like this thing was put on every single platform that exists on the internet. Let's look at it here on Twitter. Isaac Hayes III. For over 14 years, people have speculated about why my father, Isaac Hayes, left South Park. I'm here to set the record straight. My dad did not quit South Park. Scientology did. After the episode Trapped in the Closet aired in 2005, my father suffered a stroke just a few months later that left him unable to speak or make decisions on his own. He was not in any condition to resign from anything. The truth is, someone else within his Scientology circle made that decision and quit the show for him. He loved being the voice of Chef. He loved the character. He loved connecting with his fans. He would joke with people who recognized his voice, and he truly enjoyed being a part of the show. The narrative that he quit because he was offended by the satire is not true. That was a cover story created by others. My father never got to speak for himself because his health robbed him of that chance. So now I am speaking for him. He did not leave South Park willingly. He was forced out by illness and by people who did not have his best interest at heart. This is for anyone who loved Chef. This is for anyone who admired my father's work. This is the truth about what really happened. Hear the full story on Cracked Online. And that full story is right here. This is Cracked. And actually, I'm going to put a link to this article in the pinned comment down below when I'm done with this video. Again, headline, my dad would have never quit that show. Isaac Hayes III on what South Park meant to his father. You know, I remember at that time, because of course I was still in Scientology at this time. I remember thinking how hypocritical it would be, even for a Scientologist like Isaac Hayes, to be on a show that satirized and ridiculed and made fun of pretty much every group and type of person in the world, to get a whole new wave of fame from it, to make a whole bunch of money from it, and then draw the line only when they made fun of the group that you were a part of. And I thought to myself, that doesn't even ring true even for a Scientologist. And by the way, do you know what other animated show had an episode dedicated to making fun of Scientology? The Simpsons. And Bart Simpson's voice, Nancy Cartwright, longtime Scientologist. Nancy Cartwright never quit the show. Nancy Cartwright wasn't forced to quit, didn't have to quit, didn't choose to quit. when the show that made her a gazillionaire did an episode dedicated to ridiculing Scientology. So it didn't really make sense that Chef would that Isaac Hayes would on his own determinism quit that show for that reason. Okay, now you guys can read the Cracked article. The purpose of this video isn't to go over that whole thing, but actually there are two sections actually of this article that I wanted to share with you. Oh crap, sorry. It does these weird animations with the different hand motions. And one is a question that Isaac Hayes' son was asked about his sense of humor about the content on the show. The content on South Park. Okay, so it says, but did Isaac, your father Isaac, did he find the material funny? Did he find it offensive, weird? Did it match his sensibility? He says it absolutely matched him. My father had an amazing sense of humor. He was a very cool guy. He was serious, but he didn't take himself too seriously. He was never personally bothered by the material at all. Again, it gave him a new legion of fans, and it helped connect those people with his music. Just in watching the shows, I don't think there was anything out of bounds. They definitely pushed barriers, don't get me twisted, but he understood that you're not supposed to take it too seriously. It's serious commentary, not to be taken seriously, which is interesting. Yes. And in fact, this is one of the arguments that Alfred Johnson was making to the higher ups in Scientology at the time on Isaac's behalf, which is like, no, you don't understand. This means Scientology has made it. This means Scientology has entered the mainstream. Getting ridiculed on South Park is like getting ridiculed on Saturday Night Live. It means you're part of the culture. You're in the zeitgeist. And they're really trying to get Scientology to understand that to take this to a whole nother level and act outraged was the wrong way to respond to all this. Okay. And Alfred Johnson was making those arguments on behalf of Isaac Hayes. Okay. So then there's the part of this article a little later down where they ask him specifically about the Scientology episode. Okay. Here it is. Okay. They say, getting to your dad's departure from the show, what was his reaction to Trapped in the Closet, which is the name of the episode where they made fun of Tom Cruise and John Travolta and Scientology and all that stuff. Okay. It says, so initially the episode came out in November and there was no reaction. There wasn't any upswell about the episode at all. It really wasn't a big deal at the time. That January in 2006, my dad had a stroke. And during the course of his recovery, I think that March, they re-aired the episode. When it re-aired, that's when Scientology got upset. This is very interesting, guys, because when I show you the secret document from Mike's files, I'm going to show you the entire document. You're going to see that one of the things Mike Rinder told David Miscavige they were trying to do, and they were going to use Isaac Hayes to do this, was to prevent them from re-airing the episode. So somehow Scientology already knew this thing was scheduled to be re-aired, and it was specifically that they were trying to avoid. Okay, it says, at the time, my father was recovering from a stroke, literally learning how to talk, learning how to function. I visited my father. He was really struggling sometimes to even speak and say words. At the time, the people that were around him were largely Scientologists, his publicists and management. Those decisions about his involvement in the show, his leaving the show, were made by those people and not him. He would have never quit that show. He loved that show, and he was making a lot of money doing that show. So I take issue with the way those decisions were made on his behalf because it put him in a position to actually have to go on the road and tour before he was ready to tour. And then he goes on to explain that, well, let me just read it to you. When did he start touring again? Probably less than a year afterwards, because South Park was such a breadwinner. It was a great show and he was making money. So now that you don't have this income stream anymore, you have to find other ways to make income. Touring is a way to do that. Imagine you walk away from a gig and all you do is sit in front of a mic and talk. Exactly. Exactly. So you're Isaac Hayes. You've got two options. Make money by going out on the road and touring, which involves an unbelievable amount of work and physical hardship and life hardship, or have a job where you're making tons of money sitting in front of a microphone and just talking. Yes, indeed. Okay, so he goes, imagine you walk away from a gig and all you got to do is sit in front of a mic and talk. and to go back on the road and start learning how to play and sing and perform and travel and stay up late and flights and all that kind of stuff. I took issue with that. My dad loved Matt and Trey. He loved that character. He loved the show. He loved what it meant. He would have stayed involved all the way until right now. To this day, he would still be on the show. That's the part that frustrates me. Okay, good. And then he goes on and he talks a little bit more about everything that was going on and how, even sometimes family members have a hard time getting into the real inner circle of the celebrity family member when they're surrounded by all the peoples and the publicists and the agents and the managers and all the thises and all of the thatses. So it's a very interesting article. Now, let's jump over to Tony Ortega's article. Tony Ortega's article titled, "The Scientology Documents Isaac Hayes III is Conveniently Ignoring." Is it just me, guys? It's such an asshole title. It is so condescending. Yeah, like Isaac Hayes is conveniently ignoring the Scientology document that I'm about to debunk anyway. So let's just get into this. Okay, Isaac Hayes III is getting a lot of attention today for repeating something he said years ago about how his father quit South Park, but he's conveniently ignoring some new Scientology documents that contradict what he's saying. By the way, not new Scientology documents at all. Mike Rinder's had all these documents in his possession since the day he walked out the door of Scientology in London. Mike Rinder decided to share these documents with Mark Headley about a year and a half ago. And now that Mike Rinder is dead, Tony Ortega is having fun writing articles about all of Mike Rinder's documents and pretending that he did not just get them from Mike Rinder. So, last September, we had a bombshell story for the Daily Beast. New internal Scientology documents revealed that after the infamous Trapped in the Closet South Park episode that aired in November 2005, one of the show's stars, Isaac Hayes, was deeply offended by how Scientology had been portrayed in the episode. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, according to a memo, I don't want to have to read all of it. Okay. Tony quotes from a report from Mike Rinder. Isaac was briefed on the show when he arrived in LA at lunchtime. He was very pissed and said it explained why he had not been able to reach the creators of the show, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, over the last few days. Tony says that for our Daily Beast story, Mike confirmed that he had written the memo and that it was authentic. Okay. I found it interesting that the only comment Tony attributes to Mike is, yes, the document is authentic. I did write it. It would have been interesting to get some actual follow-up questions on how such a meeting like that occurs with someone like Isaac and what are the incentives to lie. What is Isaac Hayes' incentive to lie to Mike Rinder? What is Mike Rinder's incentive to lie to David Miscavige to avoid an ass whooping? And that's actually what is more interesting to me about these documents. Okay, so according to Mike's memo, Isaac Hayes agreed with his Scientology handlers that he needed to quit the show, but they decided to waste some time so as not to create a media incident. Right there, red flags. A media incident is exactly what Scientology would have wanted. An entire explosion, a news cycle of the South Park creators being called religious bigots by one of the stars of their show who quits in protest and disgust in defense of Scientology is, in my humble opinion, exactly what Scientology would have wanted. To have these guys called on the carpet by one of the stars of their show and to have it make headlines. Okay. A little bit more on this article. A couple months later, in January 2006, Isaac Hayes suffered a stroke, something that was revealed years later by his son. But see, here's what's interesting. That information is not contained in any of the documents that Mike Rinder is sending up to David Miscavige. Now, maybe I'll double check. Maybe I'll double check the dates of the Mike Rinder documents. Maybe the stroke occurred after the date of these documents, which is actually very likely now that I think about it. Okay, Isaac Hayes did quit South Park in a press release that was made public on March 16th, 2006. And in our Daily Beast piece, we show that the press release suspiciously followed similar language that was used by a public relations figure Mike Rinder had consulted. Okay, but I thought Tony was trying to pour cold water on the idea that Scientology quit for Isaac Hayes. But if his resignation includes language that was straight out of the mouth of a Scientology PR mouthpiece, that would tend to lend credibility to the idea that Scientology quit for Isaac Hayes. Okay, so let's see. It goes on to say, Isaac Hayes III said in the past that this memo was not written, the memo resigning, was not written by his father, and that someone quit the South Park gig on his behalf. That may be the case, but the contemporaneous document from November 2005 does suggest that Isaac Hayes was deeply offended by the episode and agreed then to quit the show after waiting some time. Now, Isaac Hayes III has written a lengthy post on X that once again claims that his father was not offended by the South Park episode, despite these new Scientology documents surfacing. The Scientology document that Mike Rinder wrote 20 years ago is not evidence of anything other than what Mike Rinder chose to report to David Miscavige to save Mike Rinder's ass from yet another David Miscavige ass whooping. For Tony Ortega to act like this document that was written is evidence of anything other than that is disingenuous. Okay. I'm going to share the entire report with you. And by the way, I've already reviewed every single one of the documents in Mike Rinder's OSA files. And the one thing that struck me more than anything else in going through these documents is how Scientology's international executives, even some of the highest, most powerful international executives like Mike Rinder, had to supplicate themselves in front of David Miscavige, say how pathetic and unworthy they were, and how great and majestic David Miscavige was, and how dumb and stupid and incompetent one is, and how David Miscavige is always having to clean up one's messes. Anyone who reads these documents will be disgusted at how Scientology executives were expected to put themselves down and make David Miscavige great. Okay. That is an important culture to understand in these documents. None of the things in these documents should be taken at face value because they're written by a person who was constantly having to save his own butt and make himself look as good as possible to David Miscavige. Okay. So here is the entire document. We're going to go through it. It's got a lot of Scientologies. And we're not going to define all of it, but we're just going to work through this a little bit here. So November 17th, 2005, this dispatch is actually not being sent to David Miscavige. David Miscavige is being copied on it. Here in the CC section where it says COBRTC, that stands for Chairman of the Board, Religious Technology Center, and that is David Miscavige. This particular dispatch is being sent to the commanding officer of the Commodore's Messengers Org International. And that is the senior most manager in all of Scientology at that time. And this message is being sent from Mike Rinder, and his post at the time was Watchdog Committee Member for the Office of Special Affairs, otherwise called WDC OSA. That is essentially the senior most management position in responsible for legal, media, and PR. Okay. Dear Sir, this program, and by the way, even though this dispatch is being sent to the COCMO int, it is really being sent for David Miscavige because Mike Rinder is not taking orders on this from anyone but David Miscavige. Okay, dear sir, this program aired last night on Comedy Central. They did not contact Scientology or give any forewarning on the show, not even to Isaac. The program is a total J&D of Scientology. J&D means joking and degrading, and it's a Scientology term. The program is a total J&D of Scientology, Tom Cruise, and John Travolta and contains upper-level data. Oopsies! In this internal Scientology memo, Mike Rinder has just verified that the confidential Scientology information in the South Park show was in fact accurate, true, and correct. Otherwise, it wouldn't say it contains upper-level data. It would say it contains an alteration of upper-level data. Now, saying that what's in the show is an alteration of Scientology's upper-level data is what regular Scientologists are told. But the Scientology executives, when speaking amongst themselves, don't bother to use such language. They just admit what they already know. They published our confidential information. And that's about Xenu and the body thetans and the volcanoes and the hydrogen bombs. Okay, Mike Rinder continues. We've learned that Mark Ebner consulted on the program. He is also listed as a contributing writer at Radar and earlier picketed the church and did N Theta postings about Isaac. Oh, God, I didn't realize I had an N-word in there. Oh, boy. Sorry, guys. We're going to fast forward. Isaac was briefed on the show when he arrived in LA at lunchtime. He was very pissed and said it explained why he had not been able to reach the creators of the show, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, over the last few days. So here's the thing. Isaac Hayes is a public Scientologist. Was a public Scientologist. Rest in peace. Public Scientologists are people who pay a lot of money to get Scientology auditing. It costs money. Okay. If you're in trouble, you have to get more auditing and it costs money. If you say your auditing didn't help you very much, you have to get review auditing and that costs you more money. The fact that a senior Scientology executive confronted Isaac Hayes with a situation that Scientology was really upset about, and Isaac Hayes was like, oh, yes, you're right. This is upsetting. I'm very upset. You wouldn't really expect Isaac Hayes to say anything other than that, okay? He's playing along in the moment to not get into trouble, to not have to pay more money, to not have to go see the ethics officer or any of this kind of stuff. Okay. Yes, Isaac was very pissed. He was very pissed. And it explained why he wasn't able to reach Matt and Trey over the last few days. He said he's had it with the show and he's going to quit. This is not being done today so as not to create a media incident. Now, here's the thing. The explanation that I just gave for why Isaac Hayes would be shining Mike Rinder on assumes that Isaac Hayes was in fact shining Mike Rinder on. Now, it's totally possible as well that Isaac might have been a little more forthcoming with Mike Rinder, but Mike Rinder wasn't willing to be forthcoming with David Miscavige on account of not wanting to get a whoop ass the next time he saw David Miscavige. So you have an incentive to misrepresent the facts of the situation to make them seem much more under control than they may be. And that's what Tony Ortega is conveniently ignoring when using a 20-year-old report from Mike Rinder as a blunt object to beat Isaac Hayes III over the head with. That Tony Ortega just knows much more about Isaac Hayes and what was going through his head than his own son did. Give me a break. Okay, let's keep going on. Isaac placed a call to Doug Herzog, the president of Comedy Central, to get them not to re-air the program. He left a message for Herzog, who is on a plane en route back to Los Angeles. Isaac is going to tell him how pissed he is that they consulted with a racist bigot Ebner, but not with him. And if they had, he would have told them who Ebner is and what they were going to get into. I promise you that before any of this ever came up, Isaac Hayes had never even heard of Mike Ebner. So this is just another example where Mike is putting words into Isaac's mouth. Mike is telling Isaac what Scientology wants Isaac to say. Mike is then reporting to David Miscavige exactly what Isaac is going to do. And I think this is precisely in line with what Isaac Hayes' son is saying. Scientology forced him to do this. They pressured him to do this and only ever succeeded in getting it done when Isaac himself was incapacitated and unable to speak for himself. If Isaac was really genuinely furious about this, he would have quit on the spot, not months and months and months later. Okay. Isaac then spoke to Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Isaac briefed them on Mark Ebner, and they both claimed they did not like Mark Ebner either, and that he was working with one of their producers, trying to distance themselves from the show. Oh my God, you guys! Do you see what I'm saying? Where Mike Rinder is going to tell David Miscavige exactly what he thinks David Miscavige wants to hear. Who here believes that Matt... is it Trey Parker and Matt Stone? I always get it backwards. That Trey Parker and Matt Stone had a phone call with Isaac where Isaac's like, rah, 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 let me tell you some things about Mark Ebner. And they were like, oh, you're right. We don't like that guy. Oh, right. The one guy who consulted them on the entire Scientology show. And they're like, you're right, Isaac. That man is bad. If you don't like him, we don't like him. We're going to distance ourselves. Like, this is not reality. This is Mike spinning tales for David Miscavige. Okay. They also told Isaac that they would not be doing any media on the show. Right. These guys not only Like, these guys went on and did multiple other episodes about Scientology, especially when they did a whole thing when they killed off Chef's character. They spoke to the press about Scientology. They talked about getting that Scientology stink on them. And so you're playing the phone game here. You know, Matt and Trey said to Isaac, Isaac said to Mike, Mike said to Dave. And all we are seeing is what Mike chose to report to David Miscavige. Okay, so let's see. They also told Isaac they would not be doing any media on the show. Isaac plans to meet with them and Herzog tonight to handle them, to pull the show so it doesn't air or appear anywhere else. CNN Showbiz contacted the Celebrity Center International saying that they're doing a 2-minute piece this afternoon with an entertainment reporter and an industry legal specialist to discuss the remedies available to deal with such a program. They said they were going to use the recent quotes from Madonna concerning Kabbalah and Tom Cruise and wanted to know if we wanted to comment. After speaking to Paul Block, who felt very strongly that we should not respond to the show as it would just create more controversy and news, and as both Comedy Central and CNN have small audiences, we would gain nothing by involving ourselves in any discussion about it other than giving credence to the show. We didn't give them a comment. Lieberman and Hart were briefed separately, and both said a suit would be inadvisable. A lawsuit would be inadvisable. And the best way to deal with it is with Isaac's personal communication lines. A direct attack on the show would fuel the fire, and a lawsuit would be unlikely to succeed, as they would defend it as satire. And the case would cause more interest and controversy than the original airing of the show for little potential return, not to mention cost. If there are further media inquiries, they will be told the following. Paul Block thought this was a perfect response. Satire has a place in society, no matter how inaccurate and tasteless it may be. But satire is no longer funny when it is used to denigrate and make less of others because of color, creed, or religion. So the statement itself seems on the surface quite sensible, except the entirety of the South Park show is built on satire and largely based on color, religion, and creed. So to have a Scientologist be on the show for years and years and years, while every color, creed, religion, and marginalized and vulnerable group is satirized, etc., but you only have a problem when it finally comes around to your group, is just the utmost in hypocrisy. Okay, this is Mike Rinder's concrete handling as he's reporting to David Miscavige. The follow-up handling is, 1, Isaac handles Herzog and Stone and Parker, so there is no re-airing, and also third parties Ebner so badly, Comedy Central never works with him again. It is so funny to see a Scientology program mention intentionally third-partying somebody. In Scientology, third-party means when one person goes to a second person and talks crap to them about a third person. And then that one person goes to the third person and talks crap to them about the second person and gets these two people to fight with each other. And L. Ron Hubbard said that for interpersonal, for a conflict between people to go on and resist being handled, an unknown and unseen third party has to be involved in fomenting the conflict. That's Scientology's third party rule. So it is interesting to see Scientology using in their programming, intentionally trying to use that to create upsets between people. Okay, so Isaac is going to handle Herzog, Stone, and Parker, and he's going to third-party Mark Ebner to Comedy Central. Isaac is then going to consult with Scientology before he tells them he is leaving the show, so that we don't create a new controversy about that. Isaac is going to get Parker and Stone to acknowledge to Isaac that Mark Ebner was the source of the data on the program, that he did not disclose his history and racist remarks, and that they were missed and did not realize what a bigot he was. Isaac can then state, if asked, that the creators were sold a bill of goods by a racist bigot, and they now know they were tricked into doing something that was dishonest and twisted. Spoiler alert, this program never worked. None of these things ever happened. Step 2, Comedy Central is owned by Viacom that also owns Paramount. Make it widely known through Paramount and Comedy Central that Mark Ebner, who is a racist bigot, created a disaster. He has spewed too much venom and he needs to be ruined utterly. There you go, guys. The evil empire at work. Get the story circulating that Mark Ebner wasn't honest and used the program for his personal vendetta. Step 3, get a new investigation done into Mark Ebner and get his crimes found and get them exposed. This is okay. Much love, Mike. I'm sorry. To me, this entire memo absolutely reinforces the idea that Scientology quit for Isaac. This does not, to me, contradict in any way anything that Isaac Hayes' son is saying. I guess it just matters what lenses you're looking at something through. Okay, was there anything else? No, that was it. That was it. Let's go through some starred comments and we'll wrap this up. Church of Scientology, so good to see you. Imagine surviving years on South Park, seeing kids get abducted by aliens, Satan dating Saddam Hussein, Barbara Streisand turning into Mecha Streisand, but the Xenu episode was too much reality to confront. Yep. Dave's Deep Dives, good to see you. When Isaac Hayes died, he was found having suffered a stroke next to a running treadmill. Purification rundown, maybe? Good question. Rochelle, that's some BS. Nancy should have been forced to leave The Simpsons too. Clearly, she donates more money than Isaac, so Scientology looks the other way. That's right. Now, the Simpsons episode, I don't think they aired Scientology's upper level confidential information, but I remember because I was still in Scientology when I saw the Simpsons episode, and I was shocked. Okay, Selena fan para siempre. Oh, that means forever. Selena fan forever. It's sad but not surprising that Scientology would take advantage of health struggles to control a person's life and livelihood. Cat Burt, I've mentioned to every Scientology org I visited that South Park is how I first heard of Scientology. Matt Elliott, Tony Ortega is just trying to hold onto whatever small piece of credibility he may have left. Matt Elliott, Tony's beef is that Isaac Hayes III didn't go to him to give him his story. Carrie Canitas, I thought Tony was an advocate for SPs. Constance June, Tony is not my favorite reporter. Sharona, well, they say you can judge someone by the company they keep, and he needs that company to let him gatekeep Scientology news. And it also seems they also need to capitulate to him in about said news. Abigail, good to see you, Abigail. If Scientology and David Miscavige would have wanted a big scandal accusing South Park of being religious bigots, then how is this report aimed at avoiding that a good thing for Mike Rinder? Sean, I haven't come to terms with the reality that I can't hear his voice anymore on South Park. Church of Satiretology, oh wow, that is their view of satire. We think we may be in trouble. Time Mark, it's amazing how David Miscavige can claim that he is not involved in the day-to-day operations when reports like this are out there. That's right. Elsie Featherhead. Everybody talks about the Trapped in the Closet episode, but the real Scientology episode was the death of Chef. Have you seen it? Chef got lost in a super club that travels the world abusing children. That's right. That's the second episode I was talking about. Anna from Canada. Oh man, I appreciate you. Keep fighting. Thank you, Anna. Witchy Trista, I usually miss lives, so I'm using this to say hi. Well, hello, Witchy Trista, and thank you for being a channel member for 15 months. Okay, everybody, that is all I have on this, and that will be it for me today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this fine Sunday evening, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.